Alright, this is the video update for February 1st, 2013. Be hard to see in there. The water is actually really clear right now. At the time of day, we've got some sun up still. I wanted to have a little bit of sunlight for this so we could see how many tomatoes are on this thing. They're like everywhere you look, there's more and more. The finger flicking of the flowers has really worked out well. The flowers open at different intervals, even on the same clusters. So what we're seeing here is like this one is coming in a little later than the other one over here. And which will come out interesting. I mean, as long as we're ripening them on the vine, that'll work out great, because even off the same clusters we'll be getting intervaled, pickings. But this thing is so dense. This plant is huge. It's one tomato plant. And, I mean, we can walk under it. So we're getting a couple few that are ripening. That's the first one, and it'll be ready to go here in probably a day or two. And it's, aroma tomato. Get a back shot here of the plant. So even with this light out here still, you can't hardly see where the light is shining through from the backside of the plant. At night, when I have the light placed back there, you can see it just eats up everything, so it's completely dark out on the other side of the plant because it's so dense. And it smells great. You touch it and it's like the stem, your hands feel wet, and there's it's basically like an oil essence. If you want to smell like green plant, you just come out and touch this thing and rub it on yourself. It's amazing. The kale, you can see where we just clip off leaves when we're going to use it. I usually wait until they're about this size right here, the size of my hand. You can see how nice these ridges are. And just cut that back vein out and chop them up, throw them into a pot of soup. Here's a nice size leaf right here. Look at that thing. 5 of these leaves is more than enough for a pot of soup to feed 5 people. That, 2 potatoes, some chopped up chicken, and some chicken broth, and it's just fabulous. The pinto bean is starting to come in. I think I saw, this is the pea, or this is a snap pea, and it's already got a flower coming out on it. It's barely even got any thickness to it, so we will train it over this way. Of course, the marigolds they look nice, but I don't think they work as intended to ward off anything or attract, different types of bugs, moths. They just look pretty, though. They do smell, but it doesn't ward off anything. Here's our chemical test. Well, I should say, a week ago, well, 2 weeks ago, we had 2 days of a hard freeze, and the plant, I didn't, do anything special to it. The screen over the top of this pretty much protected it. Nothing got damaged. I have some plants out front that got pretty heavily damaged. Tomatoes over there. But this has worked out real well as far as frost goes. But then the end of last week, clouds blew in, started to rain, and it rained for 4 days. So the water in the system was just, the bed was flooding and draining and flooding and draining, and then that makes this overflow. You can see right here where the water overflows out. So I think it did it enough. I mean, over a period of 4 days, this thing would almost have to turn all of the water over and replace all of it at least once, which is not terrible. But what it does is reduce the amount of nitrate, if nothing else. I had also used a gravel vac to vacuum out a lot of the sediment that sits in the sump tank, and then I dumped all of that sediment from this end into this section through here and kind of flooded the sediment back into the system. But it's real interesting because the sump is really taking out a lot of the large particles that we would want in the actual bed up here. And you can tell how clean the water that's coming out, because all of this right there is root that is on the surface, as if it were in a deep water culture or a hydro system from this plant. And you see that there's hardly any buildup, and there's actually some snails right there. Oh my goodness, I hadn't even seen these until I saw on the camera. The snails are doing their thing. We do have snails that are growing in the sump tank, and it's out here. It might not be a bad idea because they'll eat algae, and they actually are eating leftover waste and producing more waste. So we're gonna see how that goes. If it seems like it's becoming too much of a problem, I'm going to put in this sump tank. This is basically 27 gallons, capacity, but it only runs probably at about 20. So essentially, it's a 20-gallon tank, and I can put some clown loaches or gourami into this, and they'll eat the snails. And just through other attaching or putting a piece of lettuce in here, and then the snails will come up and start eating the lettuce, and then you can just dispose of them that way. But we'll see how that goes. So anyways, I was really expecting to see a lot lower levels of nitrate, and I was also worried about the pH overall. But as you can see, the pH is right, above, not quite down to the 7 range, but on my side it's definitely between the 7 and the 7.2, which is just fine. The ammonia level, oh yeah, and they are on a new food now for their appropriate size of the fish. I ordered this stuff from Premium Foods, and it's, guaranteed no land animal. Delivered 10 pounds was $29. point, which is actually a lot of food. 10 pounds is a lot. I give them a tablespoon in the morning and in the evening, and it's going to last forever. But it's lower fat content, and when they get to the tilapia get to a certain size, you lower the fat content because it can cause enlarged livers and increase mortality in mature fish. So you drop to a food that's still high protein but lower fat and more on the vegetarian side of things. But anyways, you can see it's just barely registering the ammonia, which is a good thing. I want to see just a tiny bit, because that means there's food, for the nitrosamonas to create nitrite, which is then converted into nitrate. So if the nitrosamonas are doing their job, there should be no nitrite, and as you can see, there's no nitrite. And if the nitrosamonas are present and eating a nitrite, then we should be seeing nitrate, and the nitrate is actually nice right now. We're up in the 20 parts per million or more, which is awesome. So you can see, even in the coldest parts of our so-called winter here in Arizona, the system really, I measured it the other day, it's over 9 feet across, this thing. It's really hard to put it into perspective, probably, but this thing is gigantic. And there's tomatoes and flowers all over it. You can see all of these clusters. And I've already been flicking those. And you can tell real fast if a pollination has taken hold. Let's find a better example. These fingers right here will start to grow out like majorly, and the flower will actually not just go brown and crusty immediately. It goes much slower, and that'll be the little tip of the flower that's right on that very tip of the tomato. There'll be a little flower off of that, and then just fall. And you can see right here how these ones coming in. There's this one right there. And you can see how the fingers are sticking out. They're not dying off. They just start growing. It only takes a couple days to see if it's taken hold, and you can see right there that the majority of that whole cluster there's 1, 2, 3, and those other 2 are coming in a little later. Flowers, flowers, flowers. So we're just in the beginning of February, so I can't wait to see. Now we're going to actually go into a season, in another month where, if this is what it's going to do in the coldest months, I can't wait to see when it actually gets some good sun. The drain cycle is a little fast right now, I'm noticing. Probably at about 7 minutes between cycles, but it doesn't seem to be, everything seems to be working quite well. All of the water looks great, and the plants look great, so I'm going to leave it alone. Maybe by the next video update, we'll have some of the snap beans producing. See if I turn the air down, if we can get a shot of the fish. This drain right here works so great. Everything is in such nice balance right now. You can see it's how evenly over the overflow. So it's just enough to take small particles of food or their waste over and into the system and keeps it balanced. And if it ever slows down from the bottom drain, this drain just picks right up and everything keeps going. Yeah. Blue tilapia. Now to put them into perspective, that might help. The bottom of this barrel is essentially 24 inches across it. So the big male right there in the center, the lighter colored one, he's at least 10 inches. So, I hope all of the new subscribers, take a chance and look back at some of the older videos, from the beginning to see how the system works. And, there's just practice runs on the drain, filling with no rock before this all started. And you can just watch it develop and see the system really works. Everybody should be doing this. Even just for flowers or simple herbs, basil. I'm taking off about 10 inches of this every 4 days. And about 4 branches on each one. Need to add a little chelated iron, but that's to be expected. That's normal. And I'll actually be doing that. You see this little bit of yellowing right here. You can see it really good on my screen as opposed to the naked eye, actually. Put some light behind it. But 2 days after adding the chelated iron, this will all be just forest green. So, anyways, thanks to all the new subscribers and everybody else who keeps watching, and we'll see you later.